case, the higher neocortex is activated. The pineal gland is more activated, like in darkrooms, and penolines, DMTs, 5-MeO-DMTs, and probably agmatine and other cyclohexanone N-methyl D-aspartate inhibitors are activated, which decreases the noise from the reptilian brain, but increases the higher capacities that are found emerging in the neocortex, and specifically activate the nonlinear information flow of the cingulate gyrus, which are unique to the cyclohexanones or ketamine-like molecules. You get the multidimensionality of the DMTs and ayahuasca, but you also get a transient summation of alternity, as Dr. John Lilly called it, or these multiple universes made as one single substrate, which also summarizes one's whole life. Many people find it very difficult to describe those experiences, except, as Dr. Keller noted, those who've had near-death, and Dr. Jensen, those who've had near-death experiences who are given ketamine, go back to their near-death experience and are able to talk about what they experienced. Those who've not had near-death experiences generally have great difficulty being able to talk about it, and perhaps a year later may have completely even forgotten the experience, which I find incredible. So Dr. Jensen came into this research by having a motorbike accident in India, and he hit his head, went out of his body, went through the galactic center into another galaxy, into another dimension, met beings of light. And then the doctor arrived on the site of his accident and saw that he'd had a head injury, and as a result was given ketamine hydrochloride to circumnavigate brain damage, because it's brain protective. It's also given to stroke victims. And in India it's very, very cheap and very available for emergency cases, and also very safe. What he found was that he came back to his body, but then the doctor administered the ketamine, and suddenly he went back through the tunnel of light, exactly in the same way, through the galaxy, to the other galaxy, to the beings of light. And then after the ketamine wore off, 20 minutes, he came back. Now, he went and joined the London University and started to do detailed research. He found about 1,000 people who had had near-death experiences in accidents who agreed to take also ketamine hydrochloride as an experiment to compare data, which is very important that we have empirical data in bridging the gap, the divide between the spirit and our reality. So the numinous and the dream of the Shakespearean play of life. So some people have had a near-death experience when 30 years prior, and some quite recently. Virtually all of the 1,000 people who were administered the ketamine were going back into the same experience to their near-death experience, and would remember it vividly, unlike people who had not had these experiences, except for a few who were also triggered into this. It seems that the experiments of treating heroin addicts and vodka addicts with ketamine, with high-dose ketamine, but not anesthetic level, 150, 170 milligrams, can produce this near-death experience, born-again experience, including with residual psychic effects. But then there is also an interaction with a cancellation of a hard drug habits or brain configuration, as with heroin and or with vodka. Dr. Keller then shows that the transfiguration of the genes occur through near-death experiences, and some people who've had psychoactive molecules. Retrotransposons appear to be the agents of biometamorphosis. And what is important here is that the jumping DNA, that jump across chromosomes that can create metamorphosis in the body in 24 hours across vast membranes concurrently, the most important retrotransposons are found in thymus or immune system tissue. These are the HERVs, the SINESs, and the LINESs, or HERV lines and signs. In the tissue, then, the thymus immune system tissue, 1,700 genes contain these retrotransposons, and as you can see here, they are aligned. Let's take the mouse, if that's possible. No. Where you see the ATTTA in the genetic code, these are the places of the retrotransposons, forming the geometry like the tape heads of a tape recorder. So it is thymus tissue, immune system tissue, that switches on the three major retrotransposons that create universal changes through all of the physical membranes of the body. The thymus, significantly, in the research of the Heart Math Institute, rings like a bell when the heart is producing coherent cardiorhythms. That is the technical, I'll repeat that. The thymus rings like a bell when the heart is releasing coherent cardiorhythms. This is the research of the Heart Math Institute, which shows that love, compassionate love, measured in the electroencephalogram, produces magnetic toroidal fields in the golden mean with an amperage that is maximizing at 8 cycles per second, same frequency as the Harmine, Ayahuasca, Somahuasca, the same frequency that the DNA has babies at, the same frequency that the brain is synchronized at, maximum creativity. And 8 cycles per second is the constant of the universe in hydrogen, the phase velocity difference between the proton and the electron being 8 cycles per second, and it's in every cubic centimeter of the universe. It's 90% of our body. So it is compassionate love that peaks at 8 hertz in the cardiorhythm of the heart, the strongest electromagnetic generator of the body, especially when the 7 layers of heart muscle of the left ventricle, which engage 7 toroidal fields, are brought into coherence, which is what love shows in the electroencephalogram, the ECG. So the thymus rings like a bell, and it is the thymus tissue, the immune system tissue, that contains these retrotransposons. So it is 8 cycles of the compassion in action, the agency of love, that activates these ETI jumping genes of metamorphosis. It said 98% of the DNA is junk. This is, in fact, the unactive codes that are active in all other life forms. These can be switched on by retrotransposons, as well as the other ETI genes. Concurrently to this, of course, has been the controversial but substantiated testimony or disclosure of Dr. Dan Burish, recently lecturing at Caltech, showing the Lotus Protocol. Dr. Dan Burish, if you're not familiar with him, is one of those scientists, microbiologists, who was working at the Nevada test site at the Sector 4 near to Area 51, who discovered what he called the Ganesh particle, a kind of light particle, which is presently seen in the microscope, operating and transfiguring all organisms of life on Earth. First activated by a signal coming from Cygnus in 1998. In fact, we were showing this signal from Cygnus, which was in the golden proportion. Remember, the heart sets up a series of cardiorhythms between the magnetic toroidal fields in